welcome back to the channel. I'm Neil, a hobbyist photographer, professional wrestling fan. I talk about these two subjects on this channel and often mix them as well. And I really generally talk about whatever I want to talk about also, which includes actually today talking about the new Sony A7V camera. This camera hasn't been officially announced yet, but approximately 30 minutes ago, as I start to record this, Alpha Universe by Sony.eu Instagram page, and I believe a few other pages on social media, put up a link to a page that states it is a new product announcement. Doesn't say exactly what it is, but does say that this announcement will be taking place on December 2nd at 2 p.m. UK time, which very much fits in with the much rumoured and speculated launch of this new Sony A7V camera. I'm going to run down a list of the latest rumoured speculations, this taken from Sony Alpha Rumours. Check them out on Twitter, check their website, Andre Pizzini, as well on YouTube. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But certainly, they're a great source of he's a great source of information in regards to things like this. And it definitely seems that the next announcement again will be the Sony A7V, which has been rumored pretty much all year. You always see new videos on YouTube talking about this, and obviously a lot of talk over the last several months, again, especially on Sony Alpha Rumors and other websites and other YouTube channels, regarding what the actual specs are for this camera. I was going to just leave it until it was announced, but this announcement, and I'm just kind of basically sitting here today. So let's go through some of the latest rumoured specs of the A7V, and I'll give my a few thoughts regarding some of these. Some of these I'm not too great on and don't particularly care about a few of them, but let's go through them anyway. Firstly, 33 megapixel partially stacked sensor. That's reportedly kind of the same sensor that was in the predecessor, the A7 IV, which was given actually a firmware update just today. This A7 series, you have to remember, is Sony's entry level camera. This is the camera that is based and aimed at the average consumer, hobbyists like myself, non-pro users, people who want a decent hybrid camera, which I think this generally is, but 33 megapixel, same resolution as the A7 IV, but a partially stacked sensor. I'm not a technical guy, so it will be good to see what Sony says are the improvements and or differences between the sensor for the A7 IV and this new A7V. It's going to be 30 frames per second, 14-bit RAW in electronic shutter, and 10 frames per second in mechanical. Obviously, not a global shutter sensor. I didn't expect that. A93 is Sony's only camera with that currently, I believe, which is actually the camera that I'm looking to potentially get next year. More on that if and when it happens on this channel. Um, it's not too bad. Again, this entry level, so this is not going to be exactly a lot of the specs the same as, again, the A93 and the A1 Mark II. Uh, it's going to be a little bit kind of cut back, which as you'd expect, but that's still not bad. 30 frames per second is very good, it seems, for this kind of glass, this kind of, again, consumer level camera. The Canon R6 Mark III was recently brought out, and a lot of the reviews that I've watched on that, a lot of the videos that I've seen, it looks like a really good camera. I think it's roughly around about the same, so definitely makes sense. Pre-capture. Now, this is one of the things that's been constantly rumoured. Yes, it's got it. No, it hasn't. Even recently, yes, it's got pre-capture. No, it hasn't. You know, oh, this has been one of the rumoured speculations that's been going back and forward recently. Does it have it? Or does it not? If it does have it, which the latest speculation is that it does, I really like it. I've never used pre-capture, but the idea of it, and especially getting an entry level camera like this, that is where it will the buffer. I don't know. We don't know really how many images on this camera and how long pre-capture can capture. In the Sony A9 III, yeah, in A9 III, I believe you can pre-capture for the maximum is 1.6 seconds, and you get around about the maximum. I believe it's around about 192 images. I believe roughly around about that. So we don't know how it's going to work on this camera, but I think this is a great technological advancement. I really like the idea of having pre-capture, especially for things like birds and wildlife, which if I get that camera, the A9 III, I really want to try and get a little bit more birds and wildlife stuff done again. And for or any fast moving action or relatively quick moving subjects, this kind of thing is great for I photograph local wrestling events as and when I can. Not the I would be able to use it with in that camera because the just because of the way that the anti-flicker thing, you can't use them both. So I will more likely be using the anti-flicker on the A9 III rather than the pre-capture. But again, any reasonably quick-paced action, something like a pre-capture, that is again one of my favourite new advancements. 8 stops of IBIS in body image stabilization. The more the more help we can get with camera shake, the better. I'm not the steadiest of hands. Video specs: 4K 60p no crop, but 4K 120p with crop. Not really a video guy. Obviously, the better resolution and frame rates that we can get in any of these kind of cameras, the better. These are hybrid cameras, and I think that is definitely still the way forward. Keep both. No, don't make. I don't think Sony has got any reason to make a photography only camera in terms of this kind of level. It doesn't make sense. People want the ability, especially again the A7 series, the consumer level. We want the ability to do both. So definitely depending on what the crop is and stuff like that. But again, look forward to reviews. No open gate, according to the latest rumour. I don't really know what exactly open gate is, to be honest, and there's a lot of fads about that. A lot of people going crazy about open gate and stuff like that. I'm not entirely 100% honestly ensuring, really understanding what exactly that is. New AI chip like the Sony A12 and again also A9 III. This honestly is again another one of the things that's on the list, like a couple of things that are coming up, which for me, basically, I think it should definitely be kind of standard going forward. There was talk from one of the Sony executives, was it Sony Japan or somebody, that basically said that with each iteration of cameras and the different series that Sony has, which I think is genuinely also good, that they have these different series of cameras for different use types, like again the A7 series for entry level. They have the A9 for speed, for sports, for pro sports photographers. They've got the A7R series and the higher resolution cameras. I think it's great that these have currently these different series of cameras for different uses, different aimed at different people, different types of people. Whether again you're a hobbyist, whether you're a professional, or whether you're doing video and stuff like that. I think it's genuinely great that Sony are have diversified into their products for different markets, and they have these different series that they do. Uh, I think it's great with it. Kind of getting off the subject, but with these kind of things, do you have to have some things I think standard, especially again with innovation going forward. Like I said, I can't remember the Sony Japan or whatever, but definitely this new AI chip, definitely something I see should absolutely be standard going forward. Um, so I'm glad that they seem I the rumor is that they have it. I seriously hope the AI chip is in with it. Any improvements in the focus system, any of these kind of again these technology, the A93 is um, coming up to well, it's about 2 years old now. Um, it was launched in early 2024. I know it was about 2 years ago now that they had the launch event, but definitely the new focus systems pushing that kind of thing forward again. That's what there's got Canon and Nikon and everybody else, breathing down their necks. So definitely the new subject recognitions and new focus systems in the newer models, definitely things like that should become standard. Same with the new free angle tilting 3.2-inch touchscreen LCD screen. Again, things like that should become the absolute standard. The A7 III that I have is just got a tilting screen that is a little bit annoying. So these kind of things, again, to improve these kind of again evolutionary steps in cameras as we move forward, should be really good. Something I don't have a problem with, something that I have seen, especially again with that Canon R6 Mark III reviews, and actually a few cameras that have been released over the last year or the last couple of years. You always get people who kind of moan and complain of why a camera still has like SD card slots. Again, reminder, this is entry level camera, so it's aimed at hobbyists and general users who, like again, like myself, have a lot of SD cards lying around. And currently, CF Express cards, whether Type A or Type B, they are still ridiculously kind of expensive. And I think that this, I don't know, we only get like kind of upgrades and new cameras. Like again, the A7 IV came out a few years ago, so every few years we get this new iteration. So in some terms, camera technology is a little bit slow going forward. I definitely think that the slowish kind of movement going from storage being SD cards to things like CF Express cards. It's got to be done in increments. And again, at entry level, a lot of people like myself will have a lot of SD cards lying around. They might not have the budget, the money to invest in a lot of these really expensive currently CF Express cards. I know there are some brands that have them cheaper than others. Whether they're reliable or not, I'm not sure. Um, but definitely having a mix of these cards so anybody could buy this camera and again just pick it up and use it and insert SD cards that they've got. I have no problem with a mixed media, mixed storage cards being used. I think it's a great idea again, especially for consumer cameras like this. No problem with it whatsoever. Eventually, I'm sure we'll go to CF Express type, whatever, A or Type B or whatever it is, only card cameras in the future. But for now, I have absolutely no issue with the card slots being mixed. No C5 button, I guess that refers to the boost unlike the A93. You're not going to get that obviously with the 30 frames per second. Dual USB-C ports. Same Sony A7R5 body design, whether that means the new body, I can't quite remember, but I've never really honestly had a problem really with the A7 III. Some people complain about that body design that they had then. I think honestly, generally, if you get a camera, you end up getting used to the way that you hold it and it feels. Obviously, Sony do one of the good things about Sony. They do also listen to the feedback. So any talk about the especially the new grips and the placement of buttons. So it's going to be good to see. I know we've seen pictures from Sony Alpha rumors, but it will be great to see exactly what the camera looks like. And there's differences in the body layout recently, so that kind of feedback that Sony gets, they do seem to genuinely listen to it, from whether it's from reviewers or the general consumers buying the product. That yeah, moving this button here, that means that I can reach it and also operate the shutter button, or I can operate the camera more easily. Definitely, obviously, if things, particular different button placements, for example, if some parts prove to be really popular, then obviously Sony and any camera manufacturer should certainly listen to that feedback and say, right, okay, we had this button at this section or this slightly here, we've moved it slightly to the left or slightly to the right or up here or down here, and people prefer it. Absolutely, that's the positive, that's the feedback we're getting, that people prefer this button exactly to be here. So we'll make this standard, this button will be here from in new models for the foreseeable future. Definitely something I think we will see continue to evolve, to be quite honest. The rest of it is kind of a lot the same. Announcement on December 2nd, I think that's pretty much confirmed. Limited batch ships before Christmas. I will say something on that. I firmly think that Sony in past camera releases, they have seemed to not like, absolutely not like, missing the Christmas market. Whether it's due to production, whether it's due to just the general building and development of the camera that that it is going to be launched in late December, it's a bit unsure. But definitely they tend to not like to miss uh, the Christmas market in the past, and obviously limited shipments before Christmas. Well, I'm recording this at this on the 26th of November, so less than a month before Christmas, which obviously, depending on how where they are in the production of the camera, obviously you've got limited time before Christmas anyway. Hopefully, maybe we'll get more information on that about shipment dates and how and where models will be available. Like, we'll have a certain amount of shipments in the UK, certain shipments in the United States, and etc. Maybe we'll get more information on that after, I believe, after the launch event, probably. The price, a lot of the rumours say that the price is going to be close to around about $3,000. These days, quite honestly, they don't tend to take conversion rates into consideration for things like cameras and different electronic piece of equipment. It tends to just to stick a sticker or an emblem of whatever the money used in different areas is. So, let's say you have a poster saying that the A7V will be $3,000. The equivalent is that they'll just stick a sticker instead of over the dollar sign of the pound sign for the UK or the euros for Europe. That's what they tend to typically do these days. They don't key in or factor in conversion rates. They just say, oh, it's okay, it's going to be $3,000 in the US, £3,000 in the UK, 3,000 euros in Europe, etc. That's generally what seems to honestly happen for a lot of electronics, including by Sony. So, and I generally think the price is roughly going to be around about that anyway. That's been one of the things that's been rumoured. I think that's roughly correct. I think it will be around about 3,000. As somebody pointed out the other about last night on Twitter, that it has gone up from like the original A7 camera. It's gone up quite a lot through the models. I do sadly kind of feel that it will be around about £3,000, $3,000 for this camera. Overall, I don't want to make this video too long, so overall, I do think this is going to be a very good camera. I think it is going to be a very usable camera. I think it is going to be a very solid one. I think it is going to be a good adage to Sony's lineup. I honestly, okay, might make me sound a little bit of a Sony fanboy right now, because I do use the Sony A7 III, and I'm looking to get maybe an A9 III next year, because I am invested with lenses and stuff in the system, and I have no desire really, to be honest, to go to Canon or anything right now. I do think that Sony, I think it should be the real, honestly, the reality for any camera system I will add, whether it be Sony, Canon, Nikon, whatever. I honestly don't. I feel that any camera manufacturer right now, they will not be, they shouldn't be putting out any camera they don't feel is going to be a solid, decent camera. I think that it is, I don't feel that, especially with the technology available, especially again with like Canon and Sony, the cameras that they put out will be fairly solid, good cameras. I don't see them putting out pieces of crap, to be honest. I don't think that like these big, especially the big manufacturers, are doing that. I think they are going to release. I don't think they've got any reason to do it anyway. I think that the cameras that they launch, being completely honest, should be good, solid cameras, which I think the Sony A7V will be a very useful piece of kit for anybody that does pick up. I personally, more than likely, not going to, again, not likely to pick it up, even with these good specs, because again, I've kind of got my eye and heart set on the A9 III currently, but definitely it is going to be a solid camera. It's going to be a very good camera for people to buy, and I think those who do pick it up, I have no doubt, I'm sure they will be fairly happy with it. So I'm looking forward to December 2nd, 2 p.m. UK time. I'll be sitting down watching the uh, launch event, and then hopefully, because this has also been rumoured whether about the embargo, whether it be lifted on December 2nd or 24 hours later, hopefully it'll be lifted immediately after the launch event. Um, and we'll be able to sit down and watch all the reviews, all of the reviews and previews and stuff like that from the typical camera reviewers on YouTube, who may have very well have it in their hands already. Hopefully, we will get to see those reviews and see their opinions fairly quickly. But again, I think this is going to be, well, if these specs that I've talked about are fairly pretty much the specs in the actual camera, I think again it'll be a very solid offering by Sony.